Greetings, Guzzlers. Oh, nice old gobbling. I know it's in my tiny rebel glass, but I'm on old gobbling tonight. Right, we're going to go Greek. Okay, going Greek-ish, and I've just found this recipe from Akis, I can't remember what his surname is, who does a lot of Greek dishes. I've used some of his before, and I quite fancy this one, and it's relatively quick. Got to cook it, it's in the oven, but it's quite quick and simple to prepare. We're having chicken and chickpea roast. Now, don't think that means you get, because it's simple, you get away with not a lot of chat from me, because I'm going to tell you about chickpeas, because it's that exciting, isn't it? But because we need to get a bit of move on, because you want to marinate your chicken, we're going to crack on with that straight away. So, I've got my ingredients ready, I've got my oven on at 180 fan, so let's get cooking. So, to prepare our marinade, I've got a tablespoon of oregano, that's oregano, not oregano, oregano. I've got a tablespoon of thyme, then these are all dried, okay, if you haven't guessed. Then I've got a teaspoon of sort of garlic granules, as such, dried garlic. I've got a teaspoon of ground coriander, and then I've got 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika. Can't speak now. Paprika. And what I want to do is mix these together, because the bulk of this is going to be used for the chicken. The rest will go with the chickpeas. So, now that I've sort of got that mixed together, in the big bowl where I'm doing my marinating, I'm just going to put about 4 teaspoons, don't really matter, but no, sorry, I want to do it the other way round. I want to leave about, I don't know, 2 spoonfuls in the little bowl, because that's going on the chickpeas. This is going to make up the marinade for the chicken, and so for that we're going to want some olive oil. And I've just realised I haven't opened my olive oil up yet, bought this fresh today. Pardon me, I want 2 tablespoons of olive oil in that, so I'm just going to open that up. Obviously I haven't had enough beer yet, I'm not thinking straight. Anyway, I'll put some gloves on, because what I'm going to do now is marinate my chicken. Now I've got chicken thighs here. Now old Akis uses skin on, bone in chicken thighs, and he chops them in half. And as I said to my wife, I'm not worried so much about the bone, make sure you've got skin on, because you want to roast it. Oh, we can't have skin, that's bad for you, it's too much fat. So we have got skinless ones. Don't really matter. And as usual, we get the 3 breasted chickens that apparently have 5 thighs. So I'm going to chuck these thighs in there, okay, and just going to toss them around in there to make sure they're all thoroughly coated all over. Don't get the bloody marinade everywhere. With the marinade, and then you want to really let them marinate for about 30 minutes minimum. Okay, it's probably only going to be about 38 minutes here because of the time element, but you could do it longer, you could do it overnight if you wanted. Okay, so that's our chicken done. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and then we'll start preparing our base. And I'll start telling you some interesting things about chickpeas. So here we've got chickpeas. Now chickpeas come sort of 2 types. These are the larger tan coloured ones, the kabuli. I think that's it for that. Chickpea. You also get what they're known as the smaller that can be coloured, speckly, whatever. Desi, or Desi, I don't know, chickpea. Apparently 75% of the world's production of chickpeas are the smaller Desi ones, but I've never seen them other than these ones. They're green when you pick them, but they change colour as they go through it. Now, I've got 3 cans worth of chickpeas. You can use dried chickpeas, you will need to soak them. You can have frozen chickpeas. You're looking for about 600 grams of drained chickpeas. Okay, so that's what I've got in there. And then what I'm going to do is I've got 1 lemon, and I'm just going to zest that lemon into there, and then when I've done that, I'm going to extract the juice and put the juice of that lemon in there. It's easier to zest it before you juice it, because you try zesting half a bloody lemon because it gets all squishy. Okay, so that's the lemon zesting. That's my hand all sticky. I'm over me big knife, and we're just going to get the juice in there, including a few pips. Who cares? I'm hard, me, I don't care. Okay, so just going to get that in there. Perhaps try and remove some of them pips that I can get, and then we'll get the rest of the marinade done. I'm going to add a bit of salt, and we're going to use some of all that salt in a bit. Now I'm going to add some pepper, but rather than use fresh ground black pepper, because mine's quite coarse, I'm just going to add some white pepper. Then we're going to put in that remainder of that marinade, and finally going back to our olive oil, which of course it should be Greek. This is probably a blend of God knows how many different countries. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of that olive oil in there. We will want a little bit more olive oil, but at the moment that's all we want in there. So I'm just going to toss these through. Now, most of the main marinade is on the chicken. Okay, we're just going to give these a bit of a light coating, as it were. Okay, and then I'm just going to put those to one side as well. So, final 2 things we're going to be putting in this is some onions, some red onions, bastard, and some yoghurt. We are going to use yoghurt, but right at the very end. And 2 leeks. I've got 2 leeks. You can get away with 1 if you want. It's up to you. Okay, and then I've got a baking tray or some sort of similar shaped dish or whatever. And that's what we're going to be roasting it in. So, and by the way, yes, the beer has changed colour because it's a different beer. This is beer number 2. This is I think from Banks's Brewery, Amber Ale. So, what we want to do is just peel our onions, and then we're going to thinly slice them. So I'll tell you about chickpeas. Chickpeas are an annual legume. Chickpeas are like ancient, but those ones aren't. They were probably picked last year or the year before. But the chickpea, remains of it have been found. Might be easier to use a knife for this bit, rather than choose my non-existent thumbnail, which broke. I did have a thumbnail, but it broke. Remains have been found in the Middle East of chickpeas that have dated back 9,500 years. So chickpeas have been around a long time. They've been a staple diet in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean countries. So all I'm doing at the moment is I'm just trimming for me veg. They might need a bit of a wash before we start preparing them for the dish. Yeah, so the chickpea been around a bloody long time. Key ingredient, Mediterranean and Middle Eastern, as like I just said. Hence it's using grease, using hummus. It's used as a flour in, I never quite know how to pronounce this, but falafel or falafel or whatever. It's used in Indian cuisine. It's used in salads, soups, stews, curries, particularly in India. And in fact, actually, India was responsible in 2019 for over 70% of the global chickpea production. So, just going to clear my decks down, as it were, wash my leeks, and then we'll start preparing that bit. So it doesn't matter, because obviously the longer we marinate our chicken for, the better. But the wife will be getting on to me in a minute if I don't get the bloody thing in the oven. First thing is, we're just going to thinly slice our leek into rounds, okay? And then we're going to be sort of spreading them, not chucking them in one corner, over the base of that pan. So I was telling you about chickpeas. So it's believed the word, get in there, don't get on that more bloody oven hob, get it bloody dirty, you little bastard. It's a corruption, they believe, of the French word C-H-I-C-H-E, but I have no idea how that should be pronounced. I'm presuming it should be something like chiche or something like that, for it to then be corrupted into the sort of cheek. The 14th and 15th century England, they were using a very similar sort of pronunciation, but that's probably because of the ties to France. Although, to be honest, northern France was basically part of England for a long time, wasn't it? Up the Irish French. So, like I say, what I'm going to do, you can get away with one leek. In fact, I might not put that whole leek in there. So, these are chickpeas or whatever. Are believed to originate from a wild variety. Well, actually, the word comes from a Latin word, C-I-C-E-R, which I've never, even though I studied Latin, I was never too sure about some of the pronunciations. Partly because I wasn't sure whether my Latin teacher had a bit of a lisp, or whether that was the way you meant to pronounce things. Not that it has anything to do with the way you pronounce C-I-C-E-R, but whether that was Sika or Chicha or whatever, I don't know. But there's a variety, only currently grows in southwest Turkey, which is believed to be the I can't say that word, progenitor of the modern chickpea. And it is thought from that is where they then domesticated the current sort of chickpea. Domesticated chickpeas, so like I was saying, like the version we have now, been found in Neolithic sites in Turkey, Levant, Jericho. They've been around the Mediterranean since the year 6000 BC, India from around about 3000 BC, so chickpeas are bloody old. So that's my base of leeks. Let's move to our onions. Slicing up this onion nice and thin. I've already chopped one up and spread it over on top of the leeks. Doesn't really how you chop it up, just chop it up finely. So, you know, I've told you about chickpeas have been domesticated around for a long time. Some of the Mesolithic layers and caves in France, they found remains dating back almost 7000 BC, and they've been found again quite extensively all over Greece, in late Neolithic sites dating back about 3,500 BC. So, you know, people came across chickpeas and saw their value, very high in protein, various other vitamins, minerals and everything. Not that, of course, they knew that at the bloody time. They obviously knew it was good for them when they ate it. Whoops, tried to take my finger off it. Tried to do that the other day. And do the washing up. Forgot I put my blender blade in the sink. Slashed up my finger on. But anyway, I haven't done it this time yet. So, in that goes in there. Let me just quickly have a quick wash. And now all we're going to do is give that a little bit of sprinkling of salt. And that essentially is our salt done with. And then, oops, I think I'll use that one. Give that a little gentle sprinkle of our white pepper. And then finally, we'll take olive oil and just want to give about a 1 tablespoon drizzle over that. So there's our base layer. Now this, the onions are starting to get in my mouth. This should provide a lot of the moisture, and what we're now going to do is we're now just going to spread our chickpeas over the top of that. Okay, so we've got a nice bed of chickpeas ready for our chucking. So there's our bed of chickpeas, and now we take our marinated chicken thighs and we're going to artistically arrange them on top of the chickpeas. So chickpeas were mentioned by Charlemagne around about 1800 AD. Albertus Magnus, everyone, he mentions that there was red and white and black varieties. The 17th century botanist Nicholas Culpeper mentions chickpeas, and he points out that they are more nutritious and less windy than peas. Ancient people also believed that chickpeas were associated with Venus because they said they were medicinal. They increased the production of semen in men, the production of milk in women. They were good at inducing menstruation and urination, help cure kidney or treat kidney stones. And if you bought, or not bought, but if you had the white versions, they were meant to be especially, can't speak now, especially strong and more helpful. So these are now going to go in that preheated oven for 50 to 60 minutes. Okay, so in they go. I had to get a new oven timer. Bit round. My oven is buggered. I need a new oven. So I've set that for an hour. Gonna have a little tidy up, but just before I go, in 1793, a German writer said actually in Europe chickpeas are often used as a substitute for coffee, and in fact in some parts of Germany during the First World War they grew chickpeas specifically for that use. And there you go. That's the story of chickpeas. So, other than cleaning up, that's now going to roast. All we're going to need left at the end, we're not having anything else with it other than some fresh coriander and some Greek yoghurt. That's about 40 minutes. Now remember, this was chicken thighs that weren't on the bone, so obviously if you were doing them on the bone they would probably want it a bit longer, but although obviously the chicken on top looks a bit dry, there is moisture down there in the chickpeas, although not a lot. So let's just move some of that chicken to one side. spoon up some of our chickpea and onion and leek mixture. Don't you dare go on the floor, you little git. And then we'll put some chicken on top. And then, like I said, what we want to do is add some fresh coriander and a little scoop of Greek yoghurt. This is quite runny. If you can get it sort of slightly thicker, you might find it better. Let's have a little taster. So here we go, our chickpea and chicken roast, or chicken and chickpea roast, whatever you like. So let's try a bit of chickpea first. Chickpea, onion. Remember, this has got a bit of the spice on it. So, you know, the smoked paprika is there, but not overpowering. I like to say overpowering, don't I? Like I keep saying, basically. Let's try the chicken. Now, remember, this chicken hasn't got a skin on it. So it might be a little bit drier, but it looks quite moist to me. So obviously the top surface is dry. The chicken underneath is still very nice and moist. Let's do it with a bit of chickpea as well. And there you go, perfect meal. Protein from the meat, a lot of protein from chickpeas, a bit of carb, vitamins. What more can you want? So thank you, Akis. Chicken and chickpea roast.